Hello and welcome back to another episode of Injustice For All MMA. My name is David, and this episode is for UFC Fight Night, Xiaonan versus Figueiredo. There's nothing really special about this fight card. It's in China. You've seen all the clips of the girl getting knocked out. They put her in a stabilizer. The girl who knocked her out, her parents don't know. Like, you've heard it a billion times by now. There's nothing. This episode's late. If I sound more cunty than I usually do, just disregard that. Just disregard that. Let's go through the fight card. The fight card starts off. We won't talk about the Maheshate versus Motta fight. It's a 30-27. No need to talk about it. The only thing that irritates me during that whole run-up is the lady moving Motta's hand away from the fans that were trying to dap him up. That's the only thing I'm mad about. And then finally she stopped doing that. I don't know why she didn't want him to dap up Chinese fans, but whatever. That's beyond the point. Let's go to the first fight of the night. That's Long versus Lee. See, here's the thing. Some of the Chinese names, I realize, are supposed to be switched, right? Their last names are actually their first names, but I wrote down their last names or their first names. I wrote down their first names, which are actually their last names. So I'm going to be calling them basically their first names on accident. But just bear with me. Long versus Lei, but Long is actually Zhao, but I'm going to call him Long for this one. Long versus Lei. This fight ended in a KO in the third round. I give the first two rounds a 10-9 for Long. A close marker on the first round. You can argue the first round for either person, but that's what I have it on my scorecards. In the first round, Long barely outstruck Lei. He outstruck him by about one strike. So I had to put a close marker just to be objective. But, reasonably speaking, he outstruck Lei. In the second round, he outstruck Lei this time by a much wider margin, 9-10 strikes. And then the third round is where Long got the KO. You go to the judges' scorecards, and all of them are in agreement with me. Mark Collette, Saul D'Amato, and Clemens Werner, they're all in agreement with me. So there you have it on that. Go to the next honorable mention. This fight really could have gone either way. Okay, Kavanagh versus Ochoa. I personally think Ochoa won this fight. I don't want to call it a robbery because I put too many close markers on here. So while there's a bone in my body that goes, I scored it this way, therefore I think it's correct. You have to be objective when you're scoring some of these. Kavanagh versus Ochoa. I had this 29-28. Last two rounds for Ochoa, first round for Kavanagh. I put a close marker on the first round and the third round. Okay, you go to the first round where Kavanagh barely outstruck Ochoa. He outstruck him by about one strike. Now, he looked really nice on the feet in the first round. So maybe there's a couple fights on this card that the optics are different from what the stats say. But back to this fight. He outstrikes on my counter. He outstrikes Ochoa by about one strike. I had to put a close marker on it. It's too close on strikes, so I put the close marker on it. But I think he wins this round for sure. You go to the second round. If I can find it somewhere here. This is where it gets really mixy. This card is you really can score this either way. Kavanagh drops Ochoa, but he gets up relatively quickly. But Ochoa outstrikes Kavanagh. He also has a submission attempt to close out the round. Then again, we don't see the submission attempt, so we don't even know if it's actually a submission attempt. So, in another universe, you can really argue this round for Kavanagh. But then you also have to remember that in this round that Ochoa stuns Kavanagh. So I don't want to call it both of them dropping each other, but in a small sense, they kind of both drop each other, right? Kavanagh has the drop that's pretty clear on Ochoa where he hits the ground, and then Kavanagh gets stunned by Ochoa. They both get dropped, essentially. Ochoa outstrikes him, and he has a submission attempt that we can't really see if it's in or not. Personally, I think Ochoa wins this round. You go to the third round, which, again, I put a close marker on. Ochoa barely outstrikes Kavanagh by 1 strike. I put a close marker just to be objective. In this round, Ochoa is outstriking Kavanagh. Kavanagh, they're both kind of equal on the feet, but towards the end of the round, Ochoa then outstrikes Kavanagh. Again, my counter goes to 1. I put a close marker on it, and that's why I have 29-28. You go to the judges' scorecards, and I was really surprised. I was really surprised to see a 30-27 here. I thought that was stupidly ridiculous. I just thought it was ridiculous. Mark Christie, he has 30-27. I want to give honorable mention. I want to say like his scorecard is wrong, but I can't just based off of how I explained it. 30-27. He gives all 3 rounds to Kavanagh. Evan Field and Vito Paillo, they also have a 29-28 to Kavanagh. They give that second round to Ochoa, so they kind of saw what I saw, if that's the thinking. I thought this fight was really close, and I thought Ochoa should have won. It doesn't. It doesn't even get a split D, but the next fight gets a split D, and that's Tumendemberel. Wow, I had his name before. Tumendemberel. Pretty cool name. He has a killer name. Tumendemberel versus Hernandez. I had this 29-28. This ended in a split decision. It also could have gone either way, really. But I personally think the right fighter won. Tumendemberel versus Hernandez. I had this 29-28 for Hernandez. Last 2 rounds for Hernandez. First round for Tumendemberel. Close marker on the 3rd round. You go to the first round, and Hernandez has a takedown. And a reversal, but Tumendemberel drops Hernandez. All right, and it's close on strikes. So it goes down. Fuck the takedown, fuck the reversal. He dropped him, and that's Tumendemberel's round. You then go to the second round where Hernandez has 3 takedowns. Okay, 3 takedowns, and he outstrikes Tumendemberel. He outstrikes him by about 2 strikes on the feet, but he has 2 takedowns with very little ground and pound. But the round is actually pretty entertaining. And then this starts the thing where the commentary starts to do. They do this throughout the entire night where they criticize the fighter for not being more active. And you know me, I'm Mr. If you're on the ground, you have to be active. But there are positions in this fight, and in a lot of fights on this card, where you actually understand why certain fighters aren't being active. Now, in this case, Hernandez should have been a little more active, but there are pockets where certain situations are deterring you from being active. Tumendemberel is just he's a little squirmy on the ground, meaning like he's always trying to get up. It may not look like it, but he looks very strong and he's trying to get up. And so I could understand Hernandez just kind of laying on him for bits and times. And so that's when the commentary just goes into full Hernandez needs to just kill him, when that's just not the scenario here. You then go to the 3rd round where Hernandez has a takedown, and he outstrikes Tumendemberel by about 12 strikes. Now here's the goofy bit. He has a takedown. He outstrikes Tumendemberel by about 12 strikes. Okay? And then Tumendemberel catches Hernandez off balance almost. It's not a drop. It looks like a drop, but it's not a drop. And I'm assuming there's a possibility that a judge saw that and could have interpreted that as a drop, but it's definitely not a drop. Even in full speed, even in live speed, you can see that it wasn't a drop. But I put a close marker there just in case maybe a judge was like, hey, I thought it was a drop, but it wasn't a drop. So there you have it on that. The right fighter won, obviously. You go to the scorecards, and Mark Collette, his scorecard reflects mine. Clemens Werner, scorecard reflects mine. So, we're in pace. And then Saul D'Amato. he has a 29-28 for Tumendemberel. I want to give an honorable mention, but maybe he just gave Tumendemberel that last one because he thought he dropped him. So it could be that, but who knows? So I'll be objective and not give an honorable mention. Go to the next honorable mention on the card, and that's Shi Ming versus Feng Xiaocan. First 2 rounds I gave to Xiaocan. It ends in a KO for Ming. I don't know what to say about the KO. It was a cool, nasty KO. It was great. It was wonderful. The production team was pissing me off because they kept the camera. They kept the camera on Ming, and Ming's just going. Ming just has this cute little face, just going, "Thank you, sorry, thank you, sorry." It's like, bro, move the camera. Put the camera in the audience or something. What the fuck? Don't make it even more awkward than it should be. But that's whatever. You go to the first round where Xiaocan barely outstrikes Ming. Also had a reversal with a little bit of ground and pound, and then Ming had a takedown, but that round is primarily controlled by Xiaocan. You go to the second round, Xiaocan outstrikes Ming by about 20 strikes. She's just flowing. And then in the third round, I guess she just gets caught. She just gets caught, and that's it. She gets caught, and boom, she loses, and she's in the hospital now. I don't know if she's still in the hospital, but she was in the hospital. So there you have it on that. You go to the judges' scorecards, and I'm assuming they don't have it any different than I have it. No, I was wrong. Evan Field and David Lethaby, their scorecards will reflect mine, and then Mark Christie. This one's kind of gross, honestly, if I can just be honest with you. He gives the first round to Xiaocan, which is probably the closest round of the three, or of the two full rounds. Gives the second round to Ming. Maybe he just mixed up which Asian to give it to. Gives the second round to Ming. She got outstruck by 20 plus strikes in that round. She was getting obliterated. Honorable mention to Mark Collette. Mark Christie, excuse me. That was fucking bad. Pretty fucking bad. You go to the next honorable mention on here, and that is Jieleyisi versus You. I had this 29-28 for You. First 2 rounds for You. Last round for Jieleyisi. You can argue the last round for either person. It's really close. It's like razor close on that last round. Close mark on that last round. 10-9 to Jieleyisi is what I gave it to. So that's why I get the 29-28. You go to the first round, okay, and You had 2 takedowns with ground and pound. That's pretty much the entire first round. Like, nothing on the feet really mattered. It's 2 takedowns with a little bit of ground and pound by You. You in the second round had a takedown and outstruck Jieleyisi by 8 strikes on the feet. And in the third round, You is outstriking Jieleyisi on the feet. Okay, You is like doing well on the feet. Outstriking Jieleyisi by about 8 strikes. Jieleyisi gets a takedown in the last, a minute to 30 seconds, if I can remember correctly, a minute to 30 seconds, and gives enough ground and pound to kind of equal or take the strikes back to even, or to overtake the strikes. So he basically evens up the strikes and then takes it over. Now, the ground and pound isn't like super significant. It's kind of like body, head, but it's enough to where you can go, the strikes were close enough on the feet by 8 strikes to where you can give the round to Jieleyisi, and that's what I did. But in the back of my head, I also realized it's enough, but it's kind of not enough. So I wouldn't mind if a judge gave that last round to You, just based off of what they were doing, just based off of what You was doing in the entire round. So that's why I get the 29-28. You go to the judges' scorecards. And that's pretty much what's there is Mark Christie and Clemens Warner all have a 30-27 for You, and then David Lethaby's scorecard reflects mine, 29-28. First 2 rounds for You, last round for Jieleyisi. You go to the next honorable mention, and that's Oezdemir versus Ulberg. Another a fight that I don't want to say the optics to control. The optics to control when I heard 30-27. On no planet is this a 30-27. In fact, you can argue this fight for Oezdemir. You could argue it. Now, I gave it to Ulberg. I gave the last 2 rounds to Ulberg. I gave the first round to Oezdemir. 29-28 for Ulberg. First round, the optics didn't look good for Oezdemir, even though Oezdemir is outstriking Ulberg pretty well in the fight. Now the story of the first round is interesting because what I have here is Oezdemir outstruck Ulberg by 4 strikes, and those strikes kind of come towards the end of the round. So he's outstriking Ulberg throughout the round. Ulberg then comes back and starts to outstrike Oezdemir by a little bit, and then by that last flurry is what wins Oezdemir this round. It does. It's really what wins him this round, clearly. But the funny bit is that I lost my train of thought here. Is that Oezdemir? It just doesn't look after this first round. The optics don't look good for Oezdemir, even though he's striking well with Ulberg. So there you have it in the first round. You have the second round where it's close on the feet with the edge to Ulberg. Ulberg outstrikes him. Again, on my counter, it's by 1 strike, so I had to put a close marker. You can argue it either way. And he's landing the cleaner strikes, but they're close on strikes. And Oezdemir is starting to look sloppy when he's going in. So, the optics really don't look well. You then go to the third round, where Ulberg just outstrikes Oezdemir by about 4 or 5 strikes. So there you have it on that. I say you can argue this fight for Oezdemir via the second round if you want to be really liberal about it. But again, 29-28 to Ulberg. You got the judges' scorecards, and I was just fucking astonished to hear 30-27 on 2 people's scorecards. So Evan Field has his scorecard reflects mine. 10-9 in the first round to Oezdemir. Last 2 rounds to Ulberg. Mark Christie and Vito Paio. I'm gonna say honorable mention. I think it's bad. 30-27. They don't give a round. They don't give a round to specifically the first round. They don't give the first round to Oezdemir. Honorable mention there. I think that's ridiculous. Yeah, and there you have it on that. We then go to the last honorable mention, and that is Jan versus Figueiredo. This one, guys, this one made no sense to me. It really pissed me off, in the moment when I heard the scorecards. I was wondering why it was taking so long for the scorecards to get there. It kind of caught me by surprise for a second. I didn't think it was going to take that long for the scorecards to get there. They did. And Joel, I forgot his name. He's being uber suspenseful and gives us a 50-45. I'm lost. I know in your head you're probably thinking, why are you so miffed off of 1 round? It's because of what happened in the round, but let's go in order. So I had this 49-46. First 3 rounds go to Piotr Jan. Okay, first 3 rounds go to Jan. Last round goes to Jan. 4th round goes to Figueiredo. Okay, in that very first round, Figueiredo gets a takedown. Jan gets a reversal almost immediately. Not almost immediately. He goes a couple seconds here and there. Gets a reversal. Has some decent ground and pound for about 2+ minutes. And also, when Figueiredo was on top of Jan, Jan was pretty active. He was very, very active. Figueiredo was not active at all. You go to the second round where Jan had a takedown and he outstruck Figueiredo on the feet by about 5-6 strikes. You then go to the third round. Both of them had a takedown, but Jan outstruck Figueiredo by about 9 strikes. Okay, then you go to the fourth round where Jan is outstriking Figueiredo. He's outstriking him up until he outstrikes him for the entire round, but he's outstriking him in total. He outstrikes him by about 5-6 strikes, but he's outstriking him, and then he gets dropped towards the end of the round, clean. Gets dropped. I don't know what was more clean. He wasn't off balance. He wasn't throwing a kick. He wasn't throwing a knee. He wasn't throwing a spinning thing. No. He got dropped to the clean. He hits his butt on the cam. He gets dropped. Disclaimer, by the way. I already knew who won before I started scoring the fight because it was spoiled for me. Right? I mean, we're a week. I'm recording this on the 5th of December. He gets dropped clear. And he's not outstriking him by a stupid, not by a O'Malley Moutinho margin. He's getting outstruck by about, at the time, I think it was maybe also 5-6 strikes. Right? He gets dropped. He gets back up, and then and then Figueiredo lands some stuff on him, and then he proceeds to kind of go back to what he was doing, which was outstrike Figueiredo. But he loses that round. We've scored this type of round 7 billion times. I don't know how many times we have to talk about this. We've scored this 1 billion fucking times. He gets dropped in this round. It's a dunzo. He loses this round. Okay? That's what was going on in my head. We then go to the 5th round. Where Jan just proceeds to outstrike Figueiredo by about 13 strikes. And there you have it. 49-46. And for some weirdo reason, we get 50-45 on all score. Hold on. Someone explain it to me. It makes no sense. Saul D'Amato, David Lethaby, Clemens Warner all score 50-45. Honorable mention all three. That's fucking stupid. That makes no sense. Someone explain it to me. I don't see what they're looking at. It's not as though he's murdering Figgy. He's just outstriking him regularly. And then Figgy drops him. Gets back up. Figgy lands some more shit on him. He lands some more shit on Figgy. And then the round ends. And we're supposed to sit in our seat and go, yep, because he's dominating him for the entire fight, we just give him the round. What is that? Whatever. That's whatever that is. Did I miss anything? Oh, I missed me ragging more on the commentary. Commentary is annoying. As you know, Bisping's annoying. Lorisenko's even more annoying. I'm fine with John Gooden, but if there's one problem I had with commentary, it's during the I believe Cong versus Fernandez fight, where Kang is outstriking in that first round. She's outstriking Fernandez well by about 12 strikes. Okay, she then continues that same productivity in the second round, but you can kind of see what she's doing. She's being patient. She's going in and out. The commentary, I'm not saying this is the reason why she got submitted, but this needs to be. For some reason, these guys are Sanko and Bisping are fighters or former fighters. They should know that there seems to be this thing that Bisping won't let go, which is, is someone dominating the fight? Oh, just go for the finish. First of all, they stated at the start of this stupid card that we have the shitty gloves. We have the stupid shitty gloves that don't knock people out. Okay? Alright, what's his face? Fucking Salikhov got a knockout from his leg. Or from his foot. Who else got a knockout here? Ming also got a knockout with her foot. Long versus leg. That's the okay, sure, that one, and maybe Choi if I remember correctly. But that's not the point. The point is that these new gloves suck, and they are deterring people from knocking people out. Cool. So now we have a scenario where Cong is landing really well on Fernandez, and for some reason the commentary is Bisping in particular is going, listen. My only criticism, by the way. When they bring up my only criticism is you need to go for a finish, that's something you need to bring up in the third round. That's not something you need to bring up in round number 2, the halfway point of round number 2. And by the way, it's not as though Fernandez was getting killed. She was getting touched up. We saw Fernandez's last fight. I believe it was against that one girl in the Apex that I don't remember off the top of my head. But she was getting just systematically like outstruck. She wasn't getting broken the fuck down. If this were the case where she's getting broken the fuck down, I would understand Bisping going, hey, go forward and go for the kill. But there's no need for Kang to go for the kill. In fact, that's what happened. Kang doesn't go for the kill per se, but she slowly inches forward and gets caught with a leg kick that doesn't go through flush. And when I mean go through, it lands flush. It doesn't fully go through to the sense that Kang gets back up. She's discombobulated, gets hit with some shit, and now she's getting subbed. And their recommendation is, oh man, if only she could just go for the finish. It would have been better if she was just patient, the same way she was in round number 1, and just let it all happen. But instead, that's what we get. But that's me being annoying and whatever. That's all I got. Thank you all for listening, and God bless.